WDGL HD2, Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got our Wednesday staples coming up. Koki Riley in 15 minutes. What if Wednesday at the bottom of the hour? Is there a former Falcon that could be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints? We will discuss that. I got a column up on LouisianaSports.net about LSU's baseball team that I'd like to dig a little bit further deeper into here in the spoken word form. And then Bud Elliott's got a list of quarterbacks that LSU is going to play this year and just how they rank nationally. And we'll crank things up with our SEC baseball power ranking. So lots and lots and lots to do here over the next couple of hours. Let's start things the way we do every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Well, one thing that happened last night has happened a lot this year. LSU won a midweek game. They've won all 11 of them. It just didn't look the way any of the other ones really have. If you were listening yesterday or you read my preview piece on LouisianaSports.net, like LSU is just bludgeoning teams in the midweek early in games, hanging 7 spots in the first inning on Xavier and North Dakota State, scoring 9 in the first inning on ULL, 5 on Louisiana Tech, like just crushing teams early in these midweek games. And that makes sense. You got Derek Curiel at the top of the order. You got Jared Jones as a masher in there, and you're dealing with inferior teams and their midweek arms. But that didn't happen last night. LSU went down to Thibodeau, and they didn't score in the first, and they didn't score in the second, and they didn't score in the third, and they didn't score in the fourth, and they didn't score in the fifth, and they didn't score in the sixth. And while LSU was pitching pretty well, the bats were just nowhere to be seen. But Jay Johnson, one of his favorite things to say is there's no clock in baseball. Can't run out the clock. You got to get all the outs. And against this LSU lineup, it's tough to get all the outs. And you saw Nicholls crack and issue 2 one-out walks. And then Milam found a little grass. And then Jake Brown found a little grass. And then Chris Stanfield ripped one down into the corner. And all of a sudden, LSU had thrown up a 5 spot in the 7th inning. And that was enough to get it done because William Schmidt was excellent. We'll talk pitching in a second. But LSU's offense, when you look at the scoreboard, didn't do much. You had 8 zeros. That's unexpected against the Nicholls midweek pitching slate. But you made good when you got one of the rallies going and you hung a big crooked number and it was enough. It was a 5 spot. Now, they had an opportunity in the 8th inning to add to that lead. You had the bases loaded, 1 out, Jake Brown's up, and he pops up the suicide squeeze into a double play, ends the inning. I will say this. I don't hate the call to call the suicide squeeze there. I like a suicide squeeze when you've got a lead or if you're down 1. I don't like a suicide squeeze if you're down 3 to chip into the lead. Maybe I'll see an exception if you've got Alex Milazzo up there who is, say, in 2023, hitting 208, and you've got a tough pitcher that's right-handed with a good slider, and he's not coming out for a pinch hitter, and you're just trying to manufacture a run. Okay. To use a more extreme example that I don't think many of you will even understand what I'm talking, like when Nolan Gray were pitching, if Andrew Stevenson, who that year as a true freshman was hitting like a $120, was facing Jonathan Gray, I'm good with the suicide squeeze there. But to be more specific and not to go off on a tangent here, I like a suicide squeeze with a lead late just to make sure you add 1 run. It's not a perfect call. I just understand it. You've got to execute it. You have to execute the play. And that's very poor execution. Jake Brown pops it up, and you end up with no runs because they double you off. So, to me, not an egregious call. A very, very poor job of execution by LSU. But you got 11 hits in the game. You did create some traffic. You just couldn't get the big hit. I thought Derek Curiel had gotten the big hit, and I think he thought he had gotten the big hit. You go back to the 5th inning, LSU's down 3-0. The bases are loaded, 2 out. Curiel works a deep count, gets into a full count. He's seen some pitches. He's fouled some off, and he gets a fastball up, and he leaned on it. I mean, he squared it up, hit it a long, long way to deep right center field, and the center fielder caught it right up against the wall. And what I'm only assuming is just a cavernous ballpark or one that plays such at Nicholls, because nobody hit it out last night, and Nicholls has 9 home runs on the year. So, that just seems like a very, very small number. I don't know anything about Nicholls Park except that it's in Thibodaux. Other than that, I don't know how it plays. I don't know what the dimensions are. I don't know what the wind was last night. Full disclosure, I was not watching with sound. I was doing sports trivia. I watched almost every pitch. I had the laptop up at the bar at Pizza Byron's, and I was paying attention so I could write my story and feel like I have a reasonable idea of what went on in the game. I don't know anything about Nicholls Ballpark, but I thought Curiel crushed that ball, and it didn't get out. And it was interesting because at that point, Nicholls had the 2-run double that they hit in the 4th inning that came off the bat of Ingersoll that was very similar to Curiel's swing, but his just got over Stanfield's head to plate 2, and Curiel's got caught, and it kind of felt like that was going to be the difference in the game. One just had enough juice, one just didn't have enough juice, and ended up that wasn't the case, but it felt that way as LSU started hitting in the 7th. Now, not to bury the lead too far here, because I think probably, let's not be hyperbolic. I think perhaps as important as LSU coming back and winning the game was that William Schmidt was in total control. Now, I put that little caveat in to say it is Nicholls. You're talking about a team that's 12-21, that's got 9 home runs as a team. That's not great. So I'm not going to say, well, who cares if they won or lost the game? Schmidt's on fire. That was too much. But I think to put it more moderately and probably more correctly, it's good that LSU came back and win. It's really good that William Schmidt looked like he was in control. You saw him landing his fastball for strikes. You saw him landing his breaking ball for strikes. I thought for the most part he worked ahead. And I think it's perfectly fair to say he dominated Nicholls for the last 4 innings of that game. They didn't get a hit. He issued 2 walks. Okay, it's 4 innings of work. 2 walks is not the end of the world. I'd love it if it was a 0, but not the end of the world. I thought that his stuff looked really good for 61 pitches. And what do we keep talking about and keep talking about and keep talking about? Other guys besides Anderson, Hyenson, Shores, Cowan, Evans have got to step forward. And we figured you'd see some of them in the game last night, and you did. And I thought the pitching effort was pretty good. I told you that I thought Schmidt dominated. That's a great sign. I thought that Connor Binge was really good in his inning in the 3rd, throwing hard, got a couple strikeouts, didn't walk anybody. I thought Connor Ware started the game incredibly efficiently. He was churning through those first 3 innings on a really low pitch count. He gives up a 2-out hit on the infield, I might add. Milo makes the play, but it's too late. And then I have said this, that for 3 years in the LSU press box, when pitchers would throw pickoff throws away, everybody in the press box would look at me and laugh because my reputation preceded me in that way. I despise pickoff throws. I hate them. They almost never get anyone out. You can suggest that they're effective in holding runners closer. I'm not going to argue against that. But in college, they far, far, far too often result in extra bases. Now, a left-handed pitcher, Connor Ware, should be able to throw the ball to first base. It's just a terrible throw. But what happens all the time in college baseball is pitchers wheel and throw the ball back to second base, and you've got a runner converging on second and middle infielders converging on second, and the pitcher throwing it blind, probably too hard, and half the time that ends up in center field. This wasn't that instance. This was just Ware throwing the ball to first base and misfiring. But if I were a college baseball coach, we would not be throwing over almost ever. And I realize, well, college other teams are going to realize that. They're going to see it on tape. They're going to see it in the statistics, and they're going to get bigger leads, and they're going to steal on you. I understand the entirety of the situation. Just, I'm pointing out, I hate pickoff throws. And LSU makes a terrible pickoff throw. Guy rolls all the way over to third base, and Ware gives up the 2-out single that plates a run. That's an unearned run on a play that didn't really need to happen, but it did. But I thought, other than that, Ware was good. Didn't miss any bats, didn't look dominant, didn't strike anybody out, but he got through 3 innings on 37 pitches, and I thought did so pretty well. He only gave up the 2 hits with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. Newt got hit a little bit, 2 hits in 2/3 of an inning. He also walked 2 guys. He didn't really have it. He's generally had it, so it's a deal where you can't expect too much too fast. You're just hoping a couple of these guys step forward, and candidly, like I think Ware and Schmidt have higher ceilings than Newt. But I loved what you saw from Binge. I loved what you saw from Schmidt. I liked what you saw from Ware. That's a good step forward. You look at that as a Tuesday night game with a Friday night game against Auburn. Connor Ware should be ready to go on Friday. Connor Binge will be ready to go on Friday, and I think William Schmidt should be ready to go by Sunday. So you've got those guys available in relief roles if you need them on the weekend, and I thought they threw it well last night. So LSU improves to 31-3, kind of chasing the star that was set by the 2013 team. And that team went 33-3 to start and 12-2 in league play. LSU would be exactly there if they can win on Friday and Saturday at Auburn. Now, that's a tall task, but if LSU can do it, they would equal that start. I don't know other way to say it than LSU's off to a marvelous start than this season at 31 wins and 3 losses. One more little aside on last night's baseball game, just something that warms my heart. I don't know why. I'm kind of, I don't know if surprised is the right word, but why I take notice of these things when I should just know. But I'm coming home from trivia last night, Pizza by Roan's, and it was the 8th inning. And as I'm driving close to the house, I saw in 2 living rooms and saw the LSU baseball game on 2 big screen TVs at like 9:45 on a Tuesday night against Nicholls. That to me is a little bit amazing that you've got that kind of interest on a school night that late in a game playing against a Southland Conference team. Again, I don't know why that surprises me. I know how much this town loves LSU baseball, but I noticed that kind of stuff, and it warms my heart because I'd be watching even if I didn't have to write the story, and feels like a lot of you are on that same page as well. 31-3. It's been fun to watch these guys through about 2 months of baseball. All right, that's our Genesis opening drive. We'll come back with Koki Riley and continue the baseball discussion next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, moving right along here on a Wednesday. It's What If Wednesday. If you got some what ifs, fire away in the Bayou Ford chat right there on the YouTube stream, or you can hit me up on Twitter at HuntPalmer88. Koki Riley covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. Joins us now, as he does each and every Wednesday. Koki, how are you?
Doing good. How's it going?
Quite well. How was Thibodeau last night? Describe the atmosphere, the weather conditions, which are, I'm sure, better than it was looking in February when they were supposed to go there, and kind of the vibes for LSU leaving Baton Rouge but staying in state.
Yeah, the weather conditions were pretty fair. It was very homey vibe, not quite as raucous as I thought it may be for LSU, but you know, it was a small, pretty homey place. I didn't mind it at all, honestly. And I'm definitely glad this game was played in April and not in, February or whenever it was supposed to be played. So, that was probably the best part, the weather aspect of it.
Was the story for you last night that LSU put the 5 spot up and came back and won the game, or was it that William Schmidt was able to kind of dominate for 4 innings?
For me, it was probably more about William Schmidt, honestly. The fact that he was able to dominate, as you said, 8 strikeouts in 4 innings. He did a good job of not leaving his fastball over the middle of the plate. It seems like he did a pretty good job against lefties, especially keeping that pitch away. And mixing a few changeups, was landing his breaking ball much better than he has in recent weeks. So, yeah, he looked more like the William Schmidt we saw in the first 2 weeks of the season than we did at the end of the year. And Jay Johnson has sort of refuted the fact that he has struggled this season. He kind of did it today at his press conference. But let's be honest, he has struggled at times, especially in that Texas game, in that second inning against Missouri. Conference hitters, big SEC hitters have given him some issues because they can catch up to his 95-mile-per-hour fastball, and they can more or less sit on the breaking ball. That's when you can't get hitters in between, and you have a fastball that's obviously in the mid-90s, but it doesn't have a ton of movement. There's a ton of deception there, so he has to locate that pitch really well. And I thought last night was a good first step towards kind of locating that pitch better, while also just throwing the breaking ball more competitively, throwing that pitch for more strikes.
What did you make of Connor Ware's outing?
Okay, I'd say. He did. When he's at his best, it's usually when he's keeping that fastball up in the zone, and that pitch can be, more competitive in terms of just, getting more swings and misses on that pitch and forcing more flyouts. And he forced a bunch of flyouts last night, so that's a good sign. But the command piece of it still isn't totally there. Like he's still walking more guys than you want him to, ideally. So I think if he can find a way to, throw strikes more consistently, I think that would go a long way, because I think he has the stuff to be an effective pitcher in the SEC.
How do you think Jay feels about the quote unquote the rest of his staff after the guys that pitched over the weekend in Oklahoma?
I think it's hard not to feel at least a little bit better about it after last night. I thought last night they pitched solid, not great. Obviously there's a still pretty big gap between those top two guys and everybody else. But I think the guys you saw last night are the next guys up. And outside of Jaden Newt, I thought everyone else was fine, or good even. So I like Connor Benn did a better job of keeping his stuff in the zone and getting guys to chase on the slider. I thought that we already talked about Ware, and we already talked about Schmidt. So I think those are kind of the top guys at the moment. And you can also throw Maverick Rizzi, who was warming up at one point. And you can probably throw Cooper Williams in that mix as well. They need, I think, to put it simply, they need 2 or 3 of those guys to step up as reliable guys. And I think right now you could make the argument that a few of them are close, but I don't know if they're at the point where you can put them in the game, in an SEC game against a good quality team. You can put them in the game and feel like, hey, this guy can definitely get outs for us in this situation. You feel confident about it.
You were there in Norman over the weekend. How much of that 0 earned runs over 3 games was great pitching? How much was it just an awful weekend to hit?
I think it was a combination of both. I'd say for the first 2 games, it was probably more good pitching than bad hitting. And I think for the last game, it was more about the weather. The last game, it's hard for me to describe how poor conditions those were for offensive baseball. I mean, you're talking 10 to 15 mile per hour winds coming in from center field. You're talking wind chill getting a 40. It was on paper, it was 41 degrees, but it was really closer to 28 degrees if you include the wind chill. It was just really, really miserable. It was almost, you would have preferred, I think if you were either of the coaches, you would have preferred they just played a doubleheader on Saturday, because there was enough time there in between the rain to get 2 games in, at least in my opinion. But you go ahead, you play you play the games up straight, and it was kind of a small upset, the fact that they got all the games in at the times that they were supposed to be played. Honestly, the weather, it was really, really wet and cold and kind of miserable throughout the entire weekend. But that last game kind of made offense impossible. I think the Saturday game, not the Saturday game, the Friday game, game 2, those were probably the best offensive conditions, which is probably why you saw LSU hit the ball out 3 times. But yeah, I think overall that's a bigger park too. Windy conditions, because that's just sort of how that area of the country goes. There's not a lot of trees, not a lot of hills, so you're going to get a lot of windy conditions in Oklahoma. And then combine that with the abnormally cold weather, because usually the weather isn't that cold there. I asked the people who are from there, and they're like, nope, it's usually not that cold at this time of year. So, I think the weather had a lot to do with it. I'd say at least 35 to 40% of the results that we saw over the course of the weekend. But I think it really, really affected the Saturday game to the point where, it's hard to really judge either team and their performances, especially offensively, in those sort of conditions.
So with that being said, and kind of suggesting how awful the conditions were on Saturday, what do you feel about Jay Shores right now?
I feel okay about him, and I think he's still much better than what they had last year in terms of that last start, that last Sunday starter, that game 3 starter. But at the same time, there's still progress to be made from a command standpoint. He throws enough strikes to where he can get through 4 or 5 innings and, not absolutely walk the park or have some of the struggles that some of their relievers have had. But there's still steps to be made there, especially when it comes to locating in the inner half of the zone. I think he's done a better job of that the last 2 weeks, which is part of the reason why you've seen the better results. And I think that Mississippi State appearance, honestly, was not that much different than the Oklahoma appearance. It was just that the weather was in his favor in the Oklahoma appearance. And, he didn't have the one really bad inning in the Mississippi State appearance, because I thought in the other 3 innings he was pretty darn good, especially in that first inning where he was really locating his fastball in the inner half, not letting hitters sort of lunge over the plate and feel really comfortable in the box. If he can land his slider for strikes as well, because that's got to be his swing and miss pitch. And I thought he did a better job of that in the Mississippi State game than even the Oklahoma game. So, it was also a challenge for the pitchers. It's harder to grip the ball when it's that cold, but at the same time, like, I think that he's on the right track generally, even if I don't know if I'm like quite as excited as Jay Johnson is with his last 2 performances, but I think he is on the right tracks generally, and it's really about him getting up to fully up to speed, being if he's at his best by the time they get to Omaha, that's all you got to ask for, right? Maybe not Omaha, but the regional, I'd say, because this team is pretty much locked into a regional, and they really only need to win 4 or 5 more games to host. So I think that's kind of what you're talking about with him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, sitting there at 10-2, they're in really good spot. I mean, I think if they get to 17, certainly 18. If they get to 18, you're looking at a top 8 national seed. So you got 18 games to go. That's 8-10 the rest of the way. That's pretty manageable. It starts this weekend at Auburn. You look at the statistics, Sam Dutton having a really good go of it as the Friday night guy there on the Plains. Does that surprise you a little bit?
It does surprise me a little bit, just given the amount of swing and miss he's getting. He has more strikeouts than innings pitched. He still isn't really walking that many people. That was one of the strengths that Sam had. He threw strikes, and he only has 10 walks in like 44 innings or something like that. So he's going to throw strikes. He's getting more swing and miss than it seemed like he did at LSU. And I'm really curious to see some of the changes in his game since he's left. And see how, and I'm really curious to see how like Jay and those guys can sort of adjust to any changes that he's made, or whether he's more or less the same guy, and they can really sort of narrow in on the scouting reports that they had when he was playing for this team. So I'm really curious to see what that sort of matchup looks like, and he's having, credit to Sam, he's having a heck of a year.
No question. He'll be opposed by Cade Anderson on Friday. We'll leave it at this. What'd you think about his pitch count on Thursday night, and what do you expect from him on Friday?
I thought the pitch count thing was definitely, at least to some degree, alarming, just because this is a guy who had Tommy John surgery in high school, and previous injury is the best predictor for future injury. So having him throw 135 pitches in a game that kind of matters, but doesn't matter, this isn't Omaha, right? Like, if they had done this in June, I would have understood it a lot more. But even then, like, it's still just, I don't want to say it's reckless, because you had the extra day off. You had the fact that, I think there is something to be said about exposing guys to larger workloads and, steadily building up, steadily building up their strength so they can they can go deeper into games and whatnot, and not just babying them and then at the last second, like say the playoffs, then having them throw 120 pitches, right? Like, there's something to be said about that, right? But 135 is still different than 120. I don't think Paul even went to 130 during his time here, and that guy was like a moose. So it's definitely risky, and I can't totally rail on it and say this was a totally reckless decision and everybody should be fired. I'm not going to say that, because I don't believe that. But I also wouldn't say it was a very careful move either, because again, it's it's the injuries, and with the elbow especially. It's got to be worrying to some degree, right?
We'll see. Hopefully, Cade's got his good stuff and feels good for his outing on Friday. Koki Riley will be there on the plains, good enough to give us some time on Wednesdays. Thanks, man.
Yep, awesome. Thanks so much.
Koki covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. All right, let's take a time out. What If Wednesday when we come back? Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closet space, maybe not something you think about all the time, but maybe something you need to look into. They've got customizable options there at One Bath and Closets. I tell you this every week that when Alyssa moved into the house that we initially shared together, she did not like the closet situation. Not up to standards for her. We moved to remedy that. You don't have to move to remedy that. You can just call David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. I can promise you this. They can customize that closet to your specifications, and it's going to look fantastic as well. Look at the pictures on their website, onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation and have David talk you through what they can do for you. You may be able to use the space that you have already more efficiently. You may be able to put in a new closet. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All I appreciate Koki Riley for giving us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. At the end of the hour, is there a former Falcon that would make some sense for the New Orleans Saints? Also, former Pro Bowler. Talk about that coming up at 1:45. I've got a column up at LouisianaSports.net that I'll discuss a little bit more deeply at 2 o'clock. We've got some LSU football to get into in hour number 2 and SEC Baseball Power Rankings as well. So let's get into all of that. But first, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if Hunt was able to pass business calculus?
I did pass business calculus. Now,
Really?
don't ask how many times it took.
How many times did it take?
Well, we enrolled in business calculus.
Okay.
We did not perform excellently on the first test.
All
We
right.
decided to drop that one.
Okay.
Then we took business calculus once again. We did not perform well on really any of the tests.
All
we
right.
made an F in
Ooh,
that
wow.
round. We took business calculus a third time. It was the third time I had taken the first test. It was derivatives. And I figured out how to do derivatives, and I got 100 on that test.
Whoa.
And I rode that 100 all the way to the end of the semester for a C. So I did
Incredible
pass it.
work.
Who's
This was in the
whose
chat. I
question-
don't know.
Oh,
It's
who knows that?
This has
Have
to
I
be,
brought that up enough?
This may be some guy that maybe he's friends with you. I don't know. He doesn't have. He didn't give his real name.
Where
so
is it?
It's in the chat at the bottom here. The Deep End 225. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you who that is, but
Not sure.
They may know too much.
They may know too much. I agree with you. All right,
I remember being at the fraternity house, and my buddy and his girlfriend, who were both really good at math, were like trying to teach me business calc, and I was like, I can't figure this out.
All right, next one here. Oh, I feel attacked here. What if Jacob Beck played the par 3 course at Augusta National and Hunt Palmer played the front 9 from the members tees? Who would have a better score to par? This is just really.
So, we're playing tournament conditions? Because that's a bit of a problem for me on the front 9.
It doesn't say, but let's just say yes.
I'm playing. Okay, if I'm playing tournament conditions for the member tees on the front 9, I've got a score in mind. I think I would probably shoot.
Yeah.
I think I would probably shoot 9 over.
Okay.
Do you feel like you would shoot a 9 over? It's a bunch of 80-yard shots, but there's water around.
There is. How
do you feel about 9 over?
So I feel really good about inside 100 yards. I'm pretty good. That's
that's
probably
the whole thing.
That's probably the best part of my game. Now, am I going to probably thin one into the water? It's
That's going to be a problem.
Very potential. The potential for that is very high because not only is that possible with my game, but also it's Augusta National. I'm going to be I'm probably going to be a little nervous. So I think I could get to eight over on 9 hole on the par 3 course. I think I can get to eight over. I think I could play pretty well on it because, like I said, it's strong part of my game. I think I could do it. I think I can score better.
I might be overshooting it with 9 over. It's a pretty short course from there.
It is.
I'd be hitting a lot of wedges. There's not a lot of rough. The problem is
the
can I
greens.
putt?
That's
and
the problem.
I'm assuming I get a caddy. I need some help, and we may have a fiasco on the greens on our hand.
Yes.
But I gotta think I might be able to make a par here or there. We'll see. But I think 9 over is reasonable.
Yeah, I like my chances. I'll just say that. All right. Next one. What if you had $15 to spend at the Masters concession stand?
All right. I think I know the prices. Those have popped up a bunch on Twitter. I think the breakfast sandwich is $2.50. So we're gonna go with the breakfast sandwich. I think the club sandwich is $1.50. So we're at now $5, and the beers are $5. So I got a breakfast sandwich, a club, and 2 beers. That's what we're going with. $15. That's a solid day.
That seems pretty good. Let me try to find a.
Twitter will have it for sure.
Yeah, I gotta find a picture of the.
I know everybody's in on the ice cream sandwiches, but if I'm gonna be out there in the gorgeous sunlight at Augusta, I'm gonna spend most of that money on beer.
Yeah. All right.
I might not even get food.
$15. I guess it depends on what time we're gonna be there. Like if we're just getting there, at 9 or 10.
I love a breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
I think I got to get one of those.
That's $3 though is a little. I'd probably go breakfast sandwich as well. And then I'd probably have to go with a pork barbecue sandwich. I've heard those are quite good, so that's $6. And then of course you gotta go to pimento cheese, so that's $7.50. And then I'll probably go with the ice cream sandwich.
The peach ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream sandwich, yeah. And then I'm at $10.50. And I'd probably go with I'd probably get a beer. Well, now
you're over the threshold.
So
There's
no
$5 beer.
Then I'll go to iced tea, and I'll just save the $3 for later in case I need to get something else.
Go to the gift shop.
Yeah,
I'm sure that $3 will serve you well.
I could maybe get like a pin or something.
No, you cannot. The gift shop is way marked up.
Okay.
The concessions are way marked down.
All right, next one. What if you could pick the Masters winner?
You know, this is crazy. I thought about this earlier this week. Like, I think the answer is probably Spieth for me. He's my favorite golfer, but I think it's possible that I could go McIlroy here because he's been the white knight against Liv. And like, that would be such a historic thing for him to win the Grand Slam. Like, I think that, like, I would love to see Justin Thomas win it. I would love to see Will Zalatoris win it. But I think Rory might overtake him because I don't think Spieth has a chance. I think Spieth is not an elite player anymore, and I just don't think he's going to go win a major right now. So Rory is an elite player. I think that may have something to do with it, but I think that might be my answer.
Yeah, man, I would probably pick Rory too. It just feels like it's his time now. I mean, obviously you could say that a lot, but it just feels like right now, the way he's playing, it seems like this is the time where he's gonna. This might be his best chance at winning it in a long time, and of course he can get the career Grand Slam. So everyone wants. I feel like a lot of people want to see that just because he's a pretty likable guy and he's a great player, and it would seem fitting for this to be the year that he gets it. So I'd probably pick Rory as well. Next one. What if Zach Cowan was moved to the third starter role?
I think he'd be really good at it. I mean, you're seeing him now throw 60, 70 pitches. We know last year he threw over 100 innings for Wofford. So I think that's a guy that would absolutely be able to go 7 innings at a time, and I think he'd be really good at it. I'm not willing to take him out of that role to do that because I don't think that you've got a disaster in the third game. Like last year, you had no answer in game 3. You were getting run ruled in game 3s. And at that point, you may have to make a change. Now, they never moved Griffin Herring because they didn't have another option out of the bullpen. You do have a second option out of the bullpen this time. But right now, Chase Shores is keeping you in ball games, and that's really what you're asking for on Sunday. I have yet to see many college baseball teams who have a consistent Sunday guy that goes out there and just shuts people down. You want your Sunday guy to keep you in games, and Chase Shores is doing that. So I think Zach Cowan would be really good in that role. I think it would compromise LSU in the first 2 games of series, though, because he's such a weapon out of the bullpen. So I'm not dismissing that completely. I just don't want to see it right now.
All right, how about this one from the chat? What if Hunt had won the Masters lottery?
I'd be there. Wouldn't be doing this show.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple stuff.
I mean, what if, okay, let's say.
Is there any conceivable way? Here's what we have to really figure out. And I don't see a path, considering the fact that I don't even really go to LSU baseball games that often. I don't see a path to me getting to cover the Masters for LouisianaSports.net and getting in that lottery like Scott Ravelay did when he played. Scott works for The Advocate. They send him every year. Like, I need Sam Burns to win 2 in a row and be going for the first ever 3-peat. And maybe I can convince the people here with a year in advance that we need to go cover that potential golf history.
Hunt, I mean, look, that's Sam Burns is a Shreveport guy. Like, you should be able to get some phone calls maybe. And
we gotta find a way. We gotta find a reason to cover the Masters for LouisianaSports.net.
Okay,
that right now doesn't really exist.
I was thinking you need to infiltrate his network and somehow become a close enough by proxy friend of his to maybe be able to sneak in.
But I don't to go to the tournament. I'm talking about playing the golf course.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
I can get on eBay and buy some obscenely priced picks.
If Sam wins, he then is an honorary member and can bring guests to play.
Yeah, but he's not going to bring me.
Okay,
he doesn't know me.
That's what I'm saying. You have to befriend him at some point.
No, it's better. I'm already in the media.
Okay.
And the media is in a lottery every year. And I already know Scott Ravelay's gotten to play, and Chris Solomon's gotten to play, and Brendan Porat's gotten to play, and Andy Johnson's gotten to play. These are just the guys that I know of that are covering the thing, and they've all gotten to play. So what I need to do is we need some Louisiana guys to start lighting it up at Augusta and get me to cover that event, and then get me in the media lottery, and then me get on the golf course.
Okay.
That's the path.
That probably is, yeah.
I don't see the path.
I don't either.
It's not a promising path.
It's not.
Considering we cover LSU pretty closely when they play at Texas A&M, I don't go.
Yeah.
I doubt Augusta for a week is in the budget at this point. But I'll make some phone calls. I do actually know the executives at Guarantee. I can call them.
Yeah, you do.
And see what I can do there. That's it for What If Wednesday. We'll take a time out when we come back. Is there somebody on the market that used to play for the Falcons the Saints should add? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. David Fall on his team. That was the last one. Genesis of Baton Rouge is luxury experience from start to finish. And when I say start to finish, I mean the website, the dealership, the staff, and then the service that you get and the experience that you get after the sale. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? How about 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance? How about a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty? All that's possible at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see him, Airline at PQ, across from Women's Hospital. Get behind the wheel. You'll see the difference, and then you'll get to experience some of these fantastic perks that come with being a Genesis driver. Genesis of Baton Rouge, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life, so why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment. Dave's back on. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Closing out first hour here on this not Thursday, on Wednesday. Saw a suggestion on the internet today, kind of looking at some potential Saints free agent targets now towards the back end of free agency. You had that flurry of spending right up front, and now things have very much settled, and there are a lot of veterans still out and about, but guys that you're going to have to kind of weigh and debate whether the price makes sense. And one of the names that came up for New Orleans, certainly at a position where the Saints need more production, is at edge rusher, at defensive end. And the name that came up was a 4-time Pro Bowler in Matthew Judon. And Judon spent the first 5 years of his career in Baltimore and was a solid player. Then he went to New England and kind of blossomed into a star. He had 12.5 sacks for New England and then 15.5 sacks for New England in 2022. At that point, he played one more year for the Patriots, had 4 sacks, and then signed last year with Atlanta. He had 5.5 sacks, which is actually the same that Carl Granderson and Chase Young had for the Saints this past year. So does it make sense for the Saints to go out and grab Matthew Judon? No, it doesn't. I'll be direct there. And here's my reasoning why. It does behoove the Saints to attempt to address edge rusher, because Cam Jordan's day as an edge rusher is done. He can still go out there and defend the run a little bit, but he's not going to rush the passer. Carl Granderson is being paid to rush the passer. He didn't really do it last year. And while Chase Young's numbers mirrored Carl Granderson, if you look deeper into the actual analytics, into pass rush win rate and pressures and hits on the quarterback and those types of things, Chase Young was significantly better than Carl Granderson. Last year, you ended up extending or signing a new contract with Chase Young. And you've got those 3 guys really, with Isaiah Foskey kind of waiting in the wings, a guy that we don't really have any expectations for at all, as the edge rushers. That's not enough production. You need somebody to produce more than that. And just 3 years ago, Matthew Judon did produce that way, but the last 2 years he has not. And I don't believe in his age 33 season, which is coming up, that you're going to see a significant jump there. I think it would be perfectly acceptable if the Saints took a dynamic edge rusher at 9 or 40. I don't know what's going to be there at 40. I don't know what's going to be there at 9. But I don't feel like adding an old player at that spot, like Cam Jordan, is going to remedy anything. As y'all know, as I talk about the Saints daily here, I'm more interested in young, cheap, and on the next great Saints team. Matthew Judon is not young, is probably not all that cheap, and I don't believe is going to be a productive player on the next great Saints team. I don't believe that team is going to be in 2025, so you're telling me that Matthew Judon, in his age 34 season, is going to be some sort of force off the edge? I don't think so. So while the name has some cachet, while he can still play a little bit, while you do have a need at that position to an extent, perhaps not this coming year, but certainly after that, because you feel like it's very unlikely that Cam Jordan or Isaiah Foskey is going to help you at all in 2026. So there's a need to get some guys in at that position, but the guys need to be 24, 25, 26, 27, not 32, 33, 34. And that's what Matthew Judon is. So another name that makes some sense, and quite honestly, it wouldn't even surprise me if the Saints signed him. You've got folks in that Atlanta organization that you watched him this past year. You still think you're in go-for-it mode. Like, all these reasons that the Saints might do something scare me a little bit, quite frankly. But I don't believe that that's the right player to fill that need. The need's there, not the right player. So Matthew Judon, for me, though the name has some cachet, though he is a 4-time Pro Bowler, that he was in the top 10 for AP Defensive Player of the Year 3 years ago, all that stuff is true. I don't think it makes a ton of sense for the Saints to stick their neck out and make that guy part of the roster. I think you probably look at that in the first 3 of your 9 picks. I would suggest that perhaps an edge rusher would make sense there. What remains to be seen to an extent is what the Saints think of Isaiah Foskey now. I have to think they would agree with those on the outside that there's probably not much hope there. If you do have some hope there, maybe they put that a little bit on the back burner as there are more pressing needs around. But I can't imagine that's the case. I think that an edge rusher is probably going to come up fairly quickly in the Saints wish list when you talk about the NFL draft. So that's my thoughts on the New Orleans Saints here on this Wednesday. If you're looking for Saints content, you know where to find it. Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Also, that's now in podcast form wherever you find your sound. Ross Jackson does an awesome job at LouisianaSports.net of handling our Saints content. Y'all have been voracious readers of a lot of this potential roster shakeup that the Saints are looking to get into over the next month and a half. And Ross has done a great job with that. So if you're looking for Saints content, go to LouisianaSports.net. Check it out for free. If you missed any of the first hour, you can find that wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. I opened the show today talking about LSU's baseball win at Nicholls last night. Koki Riley joined in on that discussion in our second segment of the day. It was a What If Wednesday. We talked a lot of Masters, talked a little LSU baseball as well. So go find that wherever you find your sound, wherever you find your podcast, and, of course, on YouTube where our full shows are archived each and every day. We've got a busy second hour here. Want to get into LSU football's quarterbacking opponents, but Elliott ranked them nationally. And it's a pretty daunting task that LSU's got in front of them, so we'll talk about that at 2:15. I've still got my SEC baseball power rankings to get into. A lot of shakeup. You had Texas A&M go to win a series at Tennessee. Does that move the needle a little bit? LSU won a top 10 series on the road. Did the Tigers move? What do I make of Arkansas? Plus, you've got a Florida team that's now 1-11. So we'll talk SEC baseball power rankings at the bottom of the hour. When we come back after SportsCenter, I've got a transfer portal strategy story for LSU baseball that we'll get into. So come back after SportsCenter. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Should be quite a scene in Dallas tonight when Luka Doncic makes his return to face the Mavericks 2 months after he landed with the Lakers in one of the most shocking trades in the history of the NBA. While Doncic has bonded with his new teammates, he does look forward to being back in Dallas in what will be an emotional night in front of an opposing fan base that adores him. ESPN NBA reporter Tim McMahon.
It's going to be unlike anything he's experienced before. He's extraordinarily comfortable as the enemy in road arenas. Being showered with this kind of love, this kind of adoration, it's going to be a unique experience.
Tim McMahon on Clinton and Friends. Lakers Mavs, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN. Then it's Nuggets at the Kings. Denver's first game since firing longtime coach Michael Malone. Denver has lost 7 of its last 10, including 4 in a row, and is 5th in the West. Former Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders will reportedly visit the Steelers tomorrow as projections on his draft position fluctuate. He'll be visiting with the Raiders next week. Vegas has the 6th overall pick in this month's NFL draft. Pittsburgh has number 21.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday with the NBA playoffs right around the corner. I'll give you every title contender's fatal flaw. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. Appreciate you hanging out with us, officially working towards the weekend here. Going to be a fun weekend. Watch some LSU baseball on the plains at Auburn. The Masters cranks up tomorrow. Spring football practice game thing that they've got on Saturday. We're going to discuss a little bit of all that moving forward here in this hour. I got a column up at LouisianaSports.net. And it is talking about LSU's change in portal approach. And I don't suggest that it's a change as far as the entirety of the program and moving forward. I will suggest it was a shift in approach this year. And I've talked about this multiple times over the course of the last 10 weeks. But when I talked about it, I said we won't really know the results until we get into the middle of April. And we're knocking on the door of the middle of April, and I think it's fair to start to discuss some of these results. The shift has been, for this team, it may be drastically different for the 2026 team, that they went to a lot of mid-major programs for recruits in the portal. That has not been the case previously. You look at a lot of the guys they brought in, not all of them. Yes, I'm aware that LSU got a pitcher from Air Force a few years ago. Worked out pretty good. I'm aware the year before that Paul Gervais and Eric Raiselman saved the LSU bullpen. I'm well aware that there have been other instances of small school players coming to LSU, but the majority of the production that LSU has gotten from the transfer portal has been from Jacob Berry from Arizona, the National Freshman of the Year. Tommy White from NC State, the National Freshman of the Year. Riley Cooper from Arizona. Thatcher Hurd and Gage Jump from UCLA. Luke Holman became a Friday night starter at Alabama. Christian Little was a big-time talent at Vanderbilt. Bryce Collins was a big-time recruit when Jay Johnson got him at Arizona. He came over to LSU. Mac Bingham started for 3 years at Arizona. Michael Braswell was a proven commodity as a middle infielder in the SEC. Even guys they got out of the transfer portal that didn't end up at LSU. They went and got Carter Young from Vanderbilt, who ended up signing a professional contract. They signed Jack Pineda out of the transfer portal. He took a professional contract. He was at Baylor. So you've really leaned heavily production-wise on power conference players. I just rattled through a ton of them. And again, I realize Paul Skeens did not come from a Power 5. I know that Nate Ackenhausen and Braden Joubert were big pieces to the national championship puzzle. You've signed guys in the past like Justin Lohr and Fidel Ulloa. Like, it's not 100%. But I would suggest that if you look in totality, outside of Skeens, the majority of the impact players LSU has brought in from the transfer portal have been from the Power 5. And this year, you did not do that. This year, you went and got Daniel Dickinson. Daniel Dickinson, yeah, got a look from Team USA. But you're talking about a guy who had 6 hits in a weekend series last year against a college called Bushnell. I never heard of it. Thought it was binoculars. He got 5 hits 2 weeks later against Utah Tech. Never heard of it. I got a pretty good feeling when Tommy White hits 27 home runs at NC State in the ACC against Clemson and Wake and Miami. Probably going to be a pretty good hitter when he faces Arkansas and Ole Miss. Utah Tech, I got to see it. Same thing goes for Luis Hernandez. You're playing Illinois, Chicago, and Valparaiso last year when you hit 23 home runs. Can you come in and be an impact player? You look at those two guys offensively through 12 games in SEC play, and they've been fantastic. Luis Hernandez in SEC games is hitting .340 with a team-leading 4 home runs. He's driven in 9, and he struck out 8, which is only bettered by Stephen Milam in SEC play. Daniel Dickinson's hitting .302. He's got 4 doubles and 2 homers. That's 6 extra base hits in 12 games. And he's stolen 3 bases and played a really, really good second base. These guys now, you've got a sample size that's big enough. Like, I think Tennessee's staff is really good, and LSU hadn't gotten to them yet. I think Vanderbilt's staff's really good, and LSU won't see them. I don't think Missouri's staff's very good, and you've played them. But you've seen Jared Spencer at Texas. You've seen Pico Khan at Mississippi State. You've seen Kyson Witherspoon at Oklahoma. You've seen some good arms. And this sample size suggests that these two guys belong. That's huge. Chris Stanfield doesn't count in this bucket. He's a guy from Auburn. We knew that. But look on the mound. You went and got Thatcher Hurd, Luke Holman, Gage Jump, huge high school talents that had pitched and produced in big-time leagues. Luke Holman started game 1 of a super regional against the number 1 team in the nation, Wake Forest. Now you're going to UC San Diego to get Anthony Ianson. I'm guessing most of you listening right now couldn't tell me what UC San Diego's mascot is. I didn't know. It's the Tritons. The Tritons may deserve a little bit more of my respect because you're talking about a program that's made the NCAA tournament 13 times since 2002. They were the College World Series runner-up in 2017. UC San Diego was. And you're probably looking at me going, wait a second. LSU was the Tritons were in D2 in 2017. All those NCAA tournaments, that national runner-up in Division II. And Anthony Ianson is fronting their rotation, pitching against Cal Poly, pitching against Cal State Bakersfield, pitching against UC Irvine. And now he's come out in league play. LSU's won 3 of his 4 SEC starts. He's got 31 strikeouts in 18 2/3 innings. He's been really good. No complaints at all with Anthony Ianson in SEC play. And the guy that I haven't mentioned yet, who might be the best relief pitcher in the Southeastern Conference, is Zach Cowan from Wofford. Now, LSU prepared for him. And I watched 2 of his starts when that bracket was announced on Memorial Day. Before I hit the airwaves on Wednesday of that week, I had watched 2 of Zach Cowan's full starts. And I said on this show, before Wofford announced that Cowan wasn't starting against LSU on Friday because he was overworked in the conference tournament, I said, I think this guy could probably pitch on Sundays in the SEC. It looks pretty good to me. And that may be true. He may be a good Sunday starter in the SEC right now. But he's dominant bullpen arm. Zach Cowan against SEC competition, not overall. We knew these guys could play against the schools that LSU opened the season with. Purdue, Fort Wayne, North Dakota State. Like, we knew that these guys could handle that. They had put up numbers against that kind of competition. All that mattered to me is what these guys did when they got into SEC play. And Zach Cowan in SEC play has thrown 29 and a... Nope, that's not the SEC stats. Those are the overall stats. Let's get these. 14 and 2/3 innings, 1 earned run, 21 strikeouts, and 3 walks. His opponent batting average is 118. Cade Anderson's is 227. So he's better than 100 points better on batting average. Now, you're talking about slightly smaller outing sizes for Cowan, but he is going 3 and 4 innings. Anderson's throwing a complete game last week, but you get the point. Cowan's dominating. And this is just furthering the discussion that this is about evaluation. This is about development once the players arrive here. And Jay Johnson's really good at both of those. He was a good evaluator of talent at Nevada and got those guys to play really well. He went to Arizona and elevated that program to the College World Series final. And now he's doing the same thing at LSU. It's pretty doable to figure out that Derek Curiel and Chase Shores and Kason Evans and Tommy White out of the portal are pretty high-level talents. I give Jay credit for identifying them and for getting them. As far as figuring out they're going to be pretty good players, well, I think that pretty much goes without saying. But finding some of these guys at these smaller schools that are going to translate and developing them along the way is huge. And I'll leave you with this to close this entire discussion up, because this is kind of echoing what I would have said in November and then again in January and early February. Entering this year, I probably could have told you what Jared Jones' season was going to look like realistically. Probably could have told you the same thing for Stephen Milam. Probably could have told you the same thing for Josh Pearson. Probably could have told you the same thing for Michael Braswell. I could have told you that Cade Anderson had shown flashes of what it would be like to be an ace. I could have told you that Chase Shores was a big-time talent. And then what happens with the rest of the pieces to this puzzle is probably going to dictate what LSU's team looks like over the course of 5 months. It's not going to be the variance in Jared Jones' season. He's going to be what he is. Not going to be the variance in Stephen Milam or Josh Pearson's season. Michael Braswell's not going to show up and hit 360 with 11 home runs. Those guys pretty much are what they're going to be. Jones and Milam are superstars. Braswell's a nice complementary piece. Same thing goes for Pearson. The variance was going to come from the guys who were going up a level. I could have painted you a picture in February of Daniel Dickinson hitting 358 with 16 home runs. Like, the scouts like him. He showed some tools at Utah Valley. Maybe he takes the next step as a junior. He's a star. He's the 51st pick in the draft. I could paint you a picture where Daniel Dickinson was going to hit 248 with a bunch of strikeouts because hitting the Utah Valley against Bushnell ain't this. Luis Hernandez, same thing. 23 homers in the Missouri Valley. I could paint you a picture. He hits 4 and loses his catching job because he's not a good defender, and you got to put Cade Arambidi out there. Like, that was realistic. He wasn't a catcher the last 2 years. But because those guys have stepped up and been great, and because Anthony Ianson has answered the bell, and because Zach Cowan is dominant, well, now you look up and LSU's 31-3. That is why. It's not because Jared Jones is great. He was going to be great. Jared Jones was great early last year, and LSU was terrible. It's because the ancillary pieces are playing towards their ceiling, and that's elevating LSU's entire team. They've put themselves in a situation right now where the math is so advantageous that you feel like you've got a pretty good feeling where they're going to be in early June. And that's right down the street at the box. What they do when they get there is game to game, and it can be tricky. We know that. We know that story, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But this team is likely, I don't think this is a jinx, I think it's a reasonable discussion. This team's probably going to be a top 8 national seed. That's all the 56 games are for. And then you got to go play baseball. These guys have been great. It's a shift in what you've done. These guys did not come from the ACC and the Pac-12. These guys did not come from other SEC programs. LSU took a chance on them based on a good evaluation. They've developed them, and those guys are shining stars right now. And that's why LSU's as good as they are. If you want to read more about all that, you can over at LouisianaSports.net. I've got a column up about LSU's team composition this year. I don't anticipate that LSU will do it this way every single year. Just so happened that was how this year worked out. And man, is it ever working out. All right, one segment in the books here in hour number 2. When we come back, Bud Elliott, who works for On3, covering some college, I'll check that. Either way, he put together a list of the top quarterbacks in the nation. LSU plays quite a few of them. We'll talk about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal to work with. If you are just frustrated by your commercial insurance program, the increases keep coming, you don't have claims, you feel like you're paying a ton, I understand. That's not unique. That's a common feeling. But if you're a sizable business and have not explored captives, you need to look into it. Your broker should have brought that up. If not, well, the Highland Insurance Group's happy to do it. Contact Jonathan Carver and his team at HighlandIG.com. Say, hey, we're paying a ton. The increases just keep coming. We need some sort of creative alternative. What do you know about captives? They know. They do it all the time. And they can see if you're a fit for a captive program that could be a huge benefit to your bottom line when it comes to commercial insurance. Reach out to them at HighlandIG.com. They're based right here in Baton Rouge. The Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Taking a little bit of the par 3 contest there at Augusta National. Saw a hole-in-one from Keegan Bradley a little bit earlier. Do you buy the curse of the par 3 contest winner, Beck? Like, would you try to win it if you were in the field?
If it was my first time, which it would be, of course, if it was my first time playing in it, I'd probably take it a little seriously. But if I'm like some of those guys that have played it like 7 or 8 times, I'd probably just have fun with it and not worry about it. I don't believe in the curse. It's just,
I think it would be cool to win it. I would try to win it. They just ran all the players that have won it in the last like 8 years, and it's just a disaster.
It is. But
to be fair, like one was Tom Watson like 4 years ago, who I think he's probably the only one that putted out on every hole. Yeah. All of them had their kids knocking it around. So
yeah, I don't believe in the curse. I think it's just the odds of winning the Masters anyway is already ridiculous.
Not very good.
So if you win the par 3, no matter who you are, the odds are you're probably not going to win the Masters because only one person wins it, and it's a very hard tournament to win.
It is. That's what they say, at least. I never tried.
Yeah.
But I've heard it's hard.
Yeah.
So. Speaking of hard, LSU may have a difficult schedule coming up this football season. Bud Elliott, who covers college football for 24/7 Sports, put together a list of the top 10 returning quarterbacks in college football this season. And as I looked at it, obviously the first thing that's going to stand out to me is where's Garrett Nussmeier. And Garrett Nussmeier is number 2 on the list, which is awesome. That's a phenomenal place to start if you're LSU. I talked about this earlier this week, actually, on Monday. Like, I feel like just about anyone who's discussing quarterbacks is going to put Garrett Nussmeier in the top 5 entering the season. And if you can have that in any given year, like, that's a big deal. And so to have Garrett Nussmeier coming back for LSU for a 5th year, who everybody believes is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football, whether he plays to that level or not, like, it's just a good place to start entering talking season. But the other side of this coin is, who does LSU play that's on this list? And LSU plays number 1 on the list, number 5 on the list, number 6 on the list, and number 10 on the list. So you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 of the top 10, with Garrett Nussmeier being the other. That's 5 of the top 10 directly involved in LSU's 2025 season. Now, Jacob Beck, I'm guessing you have not seen this list. Just a guess of mine.
No, I have not.
Because I didn't link it to the doc. Do you have a guess as to who Bud Elliott says is the number 1 quarterback in the nation who happens to be on LSU's schedule this coming season?
I will guess.
You can even throw me a school if you'd like.
Yeah, it's going to be Clemson, right?
It is not Clemson. Cade Klubnik is number 5 on this list.
Oh, okay.
Bud Elliott says the number 1 returning quarterback in college football is DJ Lagway from Florida.
Wow.
Now, that's buying a lot of stock into the final 3 weeks of DJ Lagway. And that's reasonable. It's his freshman year. They were on a team that was lost in the wilderness for 8 games and what had really been 3 years and 8 games. And he played great down the stretch. And Florida beat LSU when he was on one leg, and beat Ole Miss, and beat Florida State. And he's a 5-star talent. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that DJ Lagway's not the best returning quarterback in the country, but it is a lot of stock for 3 games. And in any event, LSU's got Florida coming to Tiger Stadium this year. And that's going to be a challenge when Billy Napier can snap the ball to that guy, assuming he's healthy, 65, 75, 85 times. So the next guy on LSU's list is number 5 at Cade Klubnik. And Cade Klubnik had a great finish to his season. Now, they didn't beat South Carolina, but he threw for a lot of yards and has got a lot of talent. And Clemson's got a ton coming back. This is not the time on April the 9th to go dive into Clemson's returning talent and what they've got out on the skill positions and how many offensive linemen they've got back. But I think it's reasonable to go, well, they got a former 5-star quarterback who's now got a year starting very much under his belt and who played better later in the season. And yeah, I think it's fair to call him one of the best 5 quarterbacks in the country coming back. And right behind Klubnik, who's 5, number 6 is Lenoris Sellers. This is interesting because Sellers is a freshman last year. And LSU saw him before he got hurt in that game rip off a huge touchdown run up the middle, show that insane athleticism. Is he brilliant from the pocket? I'd stop short of that. Is he a handful for defensive coordinators? Yeah, he was that for LSU last year. And Clemson found that out too. The play he made to beat Clemson, that touchdown run that he made up the middle of the field, zigging and zagging and running through all those guys, like that's a play that there are not 15 quarterbacks in college football that can make that play. And he's just that athletic and that dynamic that he can. Now, how much can South Carolina bring along his passing? We thought last year that South Carolina was going to be completely devoid of weapons because they lost your 2 best weapons from the year prior were for the Carolina Panthers and Ole Miss. So what are you going to be able to do? Well, it wasn't a work of art in the passing game, but Sellers was super productive, and now he's in his second year as a starter. So you got Lagway at 1, Klubnik at 5, Sellers at 6, and then the last one may have been tougher for you to pull if you're just driving around and kind of thinking about who this could be. Not anybody from Alabama. Not anybody from Ole Miss. Not anybody from Texas A&M. It's John Mateer. And as I say John Mateer, you may go, I don't even know who that is. And that'd be fair because you probably didn't watch a lot of Washington State football last year because Washington State's not in a conference anymore, and why would you watch that? But John Mateer threw for a lot of yards, and his offensive coordinator took the offensive coordinator gig at Oklahoma. And so he said, well, I'll go to Oklahoma. So he's now at Oklahoma. And John Mateer was super productive at Washington State last year. Oklahoma's got one chance to get this offense right under Brent Venables. So Mateer is that chance. And Bud Elliott thinks he's one of the 10 best starting quarterbacks returning in college football. Now, I'm going to need to see a lot out of Oklahoma. Bauer Sharp plays for LSU. Nick Anderson plays for LSU. And absolutely, positively nothing that Oklahoma did offensively last year was even remotely bordering on good. It was a complete and total dumpster fire from the first game through the last game. Every snap was terrible. That might have been a little bit of a hyperbole, but it was really bad. So they've got to change this, and they think Mateer is that guy. This is a refrain that I'm going to give you probably a lot between July 15th and September 1st. From a roster standpoint, I think LSU is pretty good. Elite, I'm not going to go there. Great, I think they're pretty good. And I think that quarterback, you've got a difference maker, and that's a great place to start. The schedule is troubling. And this is just part of that schedule with the quarterbacks. Now, you're never going to have a picnic in the SEC now that Texas and Oklahoma are here and the divisions are gone. It just is what it is. Not everybody's going to be Georgia from last year. We're going 2 Tuscaloosa, 2 Oxford, 2 Austin. Like, that's a little bit extreme. But everybody's going to have 3 or 4 really tough assignments. And LSU certainly will have that. I think having the number 5 returning quarterback in the country on your non-conference schedule is a bit of a bear. And I think that having 3 other guys that anybody, I'm not suggesting Bud Elliott's the oracle of college football, but the guy's really respected and I think does a great job. To suggest that you've got 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country on your schedule is a handful. So we'll see how it all goes. That's a look at some LSU football. If you're looking for our LSU football content, you certainly can find it at The Hunt on LSU on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. It's all LSU football all year long. It's Hunt on LSU, so subscribe up to that channel. We'll come back, and I got one more topic of conversation here on the day. That topic is SEC Baseball Power Rankings. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Safety is a big deal when you're in the market for a vehicle, and the folks at Genesis know that. Certainly they know that at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single vehicle, from the entry level to the highest end model, come with the same safety features. The entire line was given the IIHA top safety pick, and some of them were top safety picks plus. So when you walk into Genesis, you won't have to think, well, if I go with one of the entry-level vehicles, like, this is not going to be a very safe car. They've cut some costs. That's not going to be the case at Genesis. You're going to be in a safe vehicle, one of the safest on the road. And that's so important when you're getting around, whether that's in a sedan all the way up to an SUV. Go by and see them. Let the brand ambassadors walk you through every single feature in that vehicle so that you can feel better when you're out on the road. Once you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you'll feel that difference. Stop by their dealership, Airline at Pico. Check them out online, genesisofbatonrouge.com, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
I mean, we talked about Beck's performance in the par 3 contest in hour number 1. I'm watching. They got Ben Crenshaw hitting into the water here, and Beck thinks he's going to just eat that course alive.
Ben Crenshaw's like 90.
He's a Masters champion.
Yeah.
An elite ball striker. One of the great putters of all time.
You think he's still spending a lot of time on the range these
I don't know
days?
if he is or not.
I'll have to
he
guess
may have had
probably
a
isn't.
few glasses of wine last night, if we're being honest.
Yeah, he probably did.
I saw Scotty was into the bourbon on the porch last night. I appreciate
Okay.
that move. It's Tuesday night. You can have a nice cocktail celebrating your Masters victory. think there are probably some that probably take it a little too seriously. They're not enjoying their evening.
Maybe so,
probably
yeah.
locked in on Thursday's tea time.
Unfortunate that Tiger couldn't make it to the
I'm
dinner.
surprised. I know his Achilles shot. You can't get on the private jet and go eat dinner?
I know. You couldn't hop on the PJ and just
What
fly
is that?
over
I mean,
to-
that's
a
from
short
Jupiter?
flight.
That's got to be like an hour and 10 minutes.
Maybe it's maybe an hour and a half flight.
One of
That's
those
easy.
Gulf Streams or something? I'm not going to act like I know about private
Probably
jets.
a G7 or whatever.
I don't know anything about private jets. I don't spend a lot of time on private jets. So
Yeah.
When I have that issue, I may learn a little bit more.
Maybe
about
so.
it, but we don't have that at this current juncture. All right, let's do some SEC baseball power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Arkansas Razorbacks
Moved the Hogs up to number 1 after Tennessee's series loss against the Aggies. Hogs are 31-3. Let me read these SEC game run totals and go through it really quickly. It's astounding. 6, 12, 12, 12, 12, 11. These next 3 are against the number 1 ERA in the conference, Vanderbilt, 9, 6, 7. Then they got Missouri, 21, 14, 16. They didn't hit in the 7th inning in any of those games. They're averaging 11.5 runs per game in league play. 11.5. That's pretty salty for the Hogs.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
I think it was a bad day for Tennessee. I'm not ready to move them back anything beyond 2. I still think they're very good. I do think that there's a real chance Arkansas is better. They got swept in a doubleheader by Texas A&M. However, they did throw a no-hitter in the game before that and run rule A&M 10-0. So I'm not ready to just throw the entire baby out with the bathwater here. I think Tennessee had a bad day at the ballpark and lost 2 games. I still think they're a very good team.
The LSU Tigers.
I left the Tigers right there at number 3. I feel good about where the offense is 1 through 9. I feel great about where the ace is. Still have the same questions everybody else does about the back end of the pitching staff, but it's not a massive concern. They're doing a pretty good job of it, so I'll take the Tigers at number 3.
The Texas Longhorns.
I moved Texas up 1 spot. They are 11-1. I get it. They just swept Georgia. It's a loud statement. I still think that Arkansas, Tennessee, and LSU are a little bit better than Texas, but the Longhorns have been great. I can't, sweeping Georgia is a big deal, but I didn't move them. They're just good.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia moves back a spot, 30-5 on the year, 8-4. I will give them a 1-week pass going to Austin and getting swept. Now, here's the deal with Georgia. They play Arkansas this week in Athens. You need to go to work and prove yourself a little bit here, because if you lose 6 in a row in league play, we may have to make some significant adjustments. Right now, I'll give Georgia a 1-week pass, and I think right here is where I would draw the line at the first tier. I think these first 5 are really, really good. In my eyes, you move down a tier as we get to number 6.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Rebels are 8-4 in league play right now. Their only series loss in SEC play is to Arkansas, and they had a chance to win that series. They had a lead late in Game 3, and Wahiwa hit a home run, and they ended up losing that game in a rubber match. Now, the scheduling favored them a little bit. Beyond that, they played Missouri and Florida, who are not good, but I think Ole Miss has a pretty good team. Elliott, good lineup. They're getting it done right now. I don't think they're in the elite tier, but I think they're good.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy's 7-5 right now in league play, 25-8 overall. I have them here because they're the top ERA in the Southeastern Conference. When I watch them play, and I've watched them play a good bit, I don't see the dynamic talent that you saw in Walker Buehler and David Price and Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter and Tyler Beatty and all those guys that have been so good, Carson Fulmer. But they're getting a lot of outs, so I give them credit for that. I've got them up from 11 to 7 this week. Vanderbilt, the Commodores at 7.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Here's the issue I got with Alabama is they've moved back 2 spots from 6 to 8 here. Here are their weekend starters, SEC ERAs. Riley Quick, 5.73. Zane Adams, 6.88. Bobby Alcock, 6.32. That's not good enough. It's not even close. Now, they've got a good offense, and LeBron's a star, but they get swept at Auburn if LeBron doesn't hit the big home run. They've got to pitch better than they have. I've got Alabama at number 8. I'm teetering on that.
The Auburn Tigers.
Left Auburn right there where they are. They were at home when they beat Alabama 2 out of 3. Sam Dutton, great again over the weekend. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. He's been very good for them. We'll see him on Saturday. I still have my doubts of whether he's a legitimate SEC ace, but the numbers are very good, so I got Auburn at number 9.
Texas A&M!
I might be overreacting here. I moved him up 3 spots. But you go win 2 games in Knoxville, you got my attention, and A&M's starting to swing the bat a little bit. Now, I know they got no hit on Friday. Got it. Liam Doyle's really good. They haven't fixed everything, and they got a long way to go to climb out of this thing at 3-9 in league play. but that's a loud series win any way you get it in Knoxville, so I moved A&M up to number 10.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Moved Oklahoma back from 8 to 11 here. Witherspoon's great. I think their offense is very average. I think the rest of their starting pitching is very average. That means you're a pretty average SEC team, which puts you at 11. So again, look, it was adverse conditions to hit against LSU. LSU's really good. It's not the end of the world for Oklahoma, and their conference record is not terrible. It's 5-7, but I think they're an average team.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Wildcats also 5-7 here. I've got those two 5-7 teams behind A&M. Kentucky again is what we talk about every week. They don't have elite pitching on the mound, and they don't slug. So that to me limits what you can be. This is again where I'll draw another line after Kentucky to the bottom tier of the league, and that's where we'll start with number 13.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I moved Mississippi State up. They get 2 out of 3 against a bad South Carolina team to get to 3-9. They've got a good ace, and that's really all they can hang their hat on at this point. So at this point at 13, they're the best of the worst.
Carolina Gamecocks.
Just a bad baseball team. They beat Mississippi State in game 1 of that series, which is a nice win for them. And they come back and lose the next 2. They beat Oklahoma a game. They beat Mississippi State a game. They've been swept in the other 2 series. They're 2-10. They don't really do anything well, which is a significant issue.
The Missouri Tigers.
Speaking of that, not doing anything well, Missouri hasn't won a league game yet. They are 0-12 in league play. That is really hard to do, and you have to. I mean, should we re-litigate the over/under? What if I put it at 3.5?
I'll take the under. I think they're going to win 3.
3. That's really bad.
It is.
3-27 is a poor effort.
We're almost halfway through the conference season already. So,
yeah, they don't have a win.
No.
That's tough. So that's your SEC baseball power rankings. Run through them one more time. Arkansas at 1, Tennessee at 2, LSU at 3, Texas at 4, Georgia at 5. That's my top tier of the league right now. The second tier is the big middle of the league. Ole Miss at 6, Vanderbilt at 7, Bama at 8, Auburn at 9, A&M at 10, Oklahoma at 11, and number 12, Kentucky. And then the bottom tier of SEC play, Mississippi State at 13, Florida at 14, South Carolina at 15, and Missouri at 16. Those are your SEC power rankings. Is it okay after Texas swept a top 5 Georgia team that I did not leapfrog LSU with them and left them at 4?
Yeah, it's okay. If LSU had lost one of those games and not swept Oklahoma, I think you'd have to put Texas above them. But they just keep winning, and they did lose that series against Texas. But again, it was in Austin, so I can see a case for them being above Texas.
How do you think A&M feels about the fact that Texas comes into the league, immediately is in the SEC championship game, immediately is in the college football playoff, immediately makes the NCAA basketball tournament, immediately is in the top 3 in the nation in baseball and 11-1, while they're sitting back here at 3-9, and their coach is coaching Texas? Like, you had this 10-year run, 11-year run before they were announced to come into the league. You're like, yeah, but we're in the SEC. And you don't know what it's like because you're just dealing with the little old Big 12. And then Texas shows up, and they're more than holding their own in the SEC, and A&M is very much looking up at them at this point.
Yeah, I have to imagine that this is only going to make any job, if any coach at Texas A&M, the pressure is just going to be even ratcheted up even higher, because not only are you losing to Texas frequently in all of these sports, and not only has Texas had better outcomes in all these sports, but they're in your conference now, and you can't hide from them. So it's just gonna ratchet up the pressure even more for Texas A&M.
And you have to imagine that Michael Early's disastrous run here is just multiplied by the fact that Jim Schlossnagle's 90 miles to the west, 11-1, boom, immediately. Like, it's just. That's a tough pill to swallow over there in Aggie land for those in College Station. All right, let's finish things up here. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Huh. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries, as well as Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true. And also congratulations to Stuart Woodman from Prairieville. Stuart is the winner of our VEX European Bracket Challenge and takes home the grand prize of $1,000. Thanks to all who participated in this year's VEX European Bracket Challenge, powered by 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and LouisianaSports.net.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Busy show coming up tomorrow. Joe Healy will be with us. We'll preview the SEC weekend to come. I have not looked at the SEC baseball schedule this weekend. I know for sure that Arkansas and Georgia are playing in Athens. should be very offensive. But that's the only one I can name off the top of my head at this point. So
besides, you don't LSU. I mean,
I got LSU Auburn.
Okay.
I've got that.
I would
one
hope
licked.
so.
But I don't have any other ones. So we'll talk about that with Joe Healy tomorrow. Chris Blair will jump aboard to talk some Tigers before they hit the road for Auburn. And we'll get some updates from Augusta National, see if Scott Ravelay can jump aboard to see how things are going over at the Masters. Speaking of that, Beck, you have I'll give you 2 picks.
Yeah.
You got 2 picks to win?
I mean, the pretty easiest way to pick 2 players is Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy.
Wow, that's really quality. Did you do a lot of research on that?
I know. I'm sure that you're very surprised to hear those 2 picks. I mean, it's definitely not the 2 betting favorites right now.
Sizzling takes. Is your mic on fire over there?
It's not actually, but no, it's. I know it's not going to be any kind of earth-shattering news there that Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler are 2 of the favorites to win this tournament.
Randall Chambly says Rory's not going to win. Says he can't hit the high cuts he needs to. The wedge play is not good enough. Says no chance.
Okay, well, there is a chance. I think he's been playing really good golf, and he's quite good.
I have 2 different picks.
Okay, go ahead.
I have Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
Best iron player when he's on.
Yeah.
Outside of Scheffler.
Need to make some putts, though.
Going to have to make some putts. The chipping can be an issue.
Yeah, that's
But
not great.
he's got a pretty good record at Augusta.
He does.
And I'm worried a little bit about the fact that he doesn't hit it very far. But that's okay.
That's okay.
I'll take Morikawa, great iron player. Then I'll take a little bit of an off-the-radar pick. He works the ball really well, incredible chipper, and good iron player, Shane Lowry.
Ah, yes.
I will take Shane.
He always plays well at Augusta, too.
He generally plays pretty well. I don't know that he's been like knocking on the door, but you just got to give yourself enough chances, and then you may show up. And he's also obviously he ran away with his 1 major championship at Port Rush, but I think he's like anytime you can win the Zurich, you've got a real chance to win at Augusta.
Well, yeah, that's a powerhouse of a tournament.
Certainly the defending champion at the Zurich, where he carried Rory to the finish.
What a performance!
I'll take those 2, Morikawa and Shane Lowry. You got any take it or leave it?
Yeah, we have a few.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Speaking of the Masters, speaking of Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy, those 2 are the odds-on favorites. You were right, Hunt. Scotty is the head favorite. I think he's at plus 440. However, Rory very close at plus 600, so not too much separating them. How about this, Hunt? Rory and Scotty or the field, you take Rory and Scotty.
I'll take the field.
Okay. So all right, I guess you would leave it then.
I'll leave it. Yeah, I'll take the other guys. That gives me some pretty quality players there.
It does.
I would like to see either one of them win. I think Scotty winning 3 out of 4 and back-to-back would be incredible. I think Rory completing the Grand Slam would be incredible. There are very few guys that I absolutely would not want to see win.
Well,
most of them have
all the live guys.
They have a bunch of clip art on their hats. So
yeah.
those are the guys that you gotta phase those guys out.
Yeah, I think the only real threats you have there are probably Cam Smith and.
Did you see Cam Smith today?
Not good.
What was he doing?
I don't know.
Did you see what he's wearing?
Yes.
A blazer.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. He is a very good putter.
Not a green
and
one.
He's played pretty well.
He used to be good. He's not any good anymore.
Well, we'll see. All right. Last one here. I sometimes I'm looking for take it or leave it, so I just go on Twitter and go to the trending tab.
Okay.
And I saw one and it said Pop Warner, and I thought to myself, why would Pop Warner be trending on Twitter? Well, apparently it's because the first base coach for the Cardinals, his name is Ron Warner. His nickname is Pop. So the St. Louis Cardinals first base coach is Pop Warner, and the Cardinals Twitter are having just an absolute conniption over him and his base running instructions for the team.
Perfect. Because they think they invented the sport? Good.
Yeah, yes. So Cardinals fans being very angry with their first base coach. Take it or leave it.
I'll take that all day. Cardinals fans getting emotional is one of my favorite baseball pastimes. They believe to their core that St. Louis invented the sport.
Oh, sorry, he's the third base coach. That'll make
either
sense.
Way. Well, they don't get a lot of action over third base
Not
these
really.
days. They're more of a first base kind of organization at this current juncture. But they think they invented the game, think that they do everything better than everybody else. In reality, not true. And I'd love to see the fact that their organization is in massive upheaval and has been completely stalled out. So that's great.
It is.
And if their main source of entertainment is the fact that their third base coach has a goofy nickname. We've really got the Cardinals exactly where we want.
Well, it's not only that, but I think it's because of him sending some guys and not sending them at the right times. Yeah, so
yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah,
so, I know there are some Cardinals fans that generally listen here and there. So if you are tuning in, I hope the Cardinals lose every game the rest of the way.
Yes, me too. By the way, the Central has not been good besides the Chicago
Cubs. The Cubs have been good since they got back from Japan.
They have been. And meanwhile, the Brewers, Cardinals, and Reds and Pirates all not very good. Pretty bad.
Freddie Couples just knocked it in there tight again with the orange ball.
Yeah, Hunt, you got to get over this.
Is he going to play the orange ball in the tournament?
I hope so.
No.
I really hope so, Hunt.
No.
Yes.
Get a white golf ball,
Get
Freddie.
over yourself, Hunt. It's a golf ball. Who cares what color it is?
Freddie. That's what we need.
No, we don't
It's
need
Augusta National. It's
I don't
not the
care what
local
course
pitch
it
and
is.
putt.
Doesn't matter.
It's not
He's
the
Fred Couples. He can
backyard
do whatever he
in a
wants.
cow pasture. You play the white golf ball.
He's Fred Couples. He's won majors. He can do whatever he wants.
I like Freddie. Is that it for Take It or Leave It? That's it. All right. A lot going on at the par 3 contest there at Augusta National. I haven't seen a scoreboard, but I don't think anybody really cares.
I don't think anyone cares either, yeah.
All right, that's it for a Wednesday show. That's one of those times where I don't know what day of the week it is. It's Wednesday. If you missed any, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. I gave thoughts on baseball and their win over Nicholls last night. Koki Riley jumped aboard at 1:15. It was What If Wednesday. Talked about Matthew Judon. Is he a fit for the New Orleans Saints in free agency? LSU rating the small schools in the transfer portal. It has worked out in baseball. I went into detail with that, LSU football, and the quarterbacks they'll face. Check all that out on demand, including SEC baseball power rankings. Matt's going to drive you home. We're back tomorrow. Same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr.